Are there any apologies for absence to report this evening? But before you say that, I would like to say some very good friends of mine from Suffolk, over in the corner there. I hear George and Diana Pipe, and I'm so very, very pleased to see them. Madam Secretary, over to you.
Mr. Master, there are quite a few apologies for absence, and may I say before I read the list that each of them has asked to be remembered to you personally.
Oh, nice, thank you.
Right, in no particular order, although it seems to be alphabetical. Eddie Adams, Alan Ainsworth, Susan Apter, Gerda Barrison, now Brewster,
nice.
Jim Belshaw,
Yes.
Alan Brown, Brian Bull, George Campling, Lloyd Cartwright, Robin Collis, David Durnley, Geoffrey K. Dodd, Peter Furness, Robert E. Hardy, Jane Haslam, David Hilling, Richard Jones, John Catteringham, John Laver, Reverend Brooke Lunn, Dr. Peter Mackey, Canon Andrew Nunn, the Subdean of Suffolk Cathedral, Angus Ogilvie, Chris Pickford, John Pladdis, Stephen Pocock, Jeremy Pratt, Dennis Randall, Peter Randall, Martin Reed, John Ridley, Jackie Roberts, Chairman of the Bringing World Board, Nigel Smith, Julie Udall, now Wilkinson, Peter Valux, Derek Yates, Michael Witchley, and Andrew Stubbs. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed for that lovely list. And I'm pleased to say that I recognise and can visualise every one of the names that were read out there. I'm so pleased to and acknowledging this evening, as you all are. Thank you. Now, over to you, Miss. Over to you now. Oh, Matter oh, yeah, yes. I must keep my finger on the right spot. Now, do we have any matters arising, please, before we start the main business?
Yes, Master, if I may. I have a matter arising.
You may, as long as it's within the rules.
Minutes record. Again, there's great difficulty in getting the certificates through to the new members, and particularly Nigel Thompson's certificate.
Oh, yeah.
Have we got any news, Mr. Master, on that certificate?
Well, I understand the situation is unchanged on that sit there. I have no membership in the name of Nigel Thompson. I remember the name vaguely, you know. There we are. I have no membership for him. Now, I understand the situation is unchanged, Frank. There seems to be some difficulty in getting a certificate from the Association Secretary number 1 to the Honorary Secretary for signature. So there we are.
Mr. Master, am I right or am I wrong, Mr. Master? Is not the Honorary Secretary number 1 of this association Mr. Lott?
Quite so. Quite so.
Mr. Master, am I right or am I wrong, Mr. Master? Is not the Honorary Secretary of this association Mr. Dupre?
That is so. You are absolutely right.
Mr. Master, am I right or am I wrong, Mr. Master? Just Mr. Lockwood and Mr. Dupre?
Mr. Master,
Of course it is, Frank.
my private life is my own. Whatsoever to do with anybody else. And if Mr. Udall will insist upon having his pound of flesh, I shall become rather cross.
Of course it is, Frank. Now what is the point you're trying to make?
Just made it, Mr. Master.
Oh dear. Just some new hearing aids.
It's the secretary now, Harold. It's the secretary now. It's the secretary now. This is what it used to be like.
The stranglehold of Woodlawn Road text came under fire in a letter to committee written to Chris Dalton's ire. Kick him out, said Wilson, also it was reported.
And the honorary secretary has to be supported.
A tough time in the ringing rod was suffered in that day, with complaints of bad behaviour from a little man, they say.
I just rung in some Cambridge,
Wrote a reader.
When we set, this little man came up and said,
You've paid your sixpence yet?
I said, I'm not a member. And I moved towards the door.
Go on, rubber duck.
He said, and I felt trouble was in store.
Not a bloody member.
He shouted, everyone looked around.
Well, what you doing here then?
He said, then silence did abound. Harold, I have always had a conscience since I didn't pay that night.
Yes.
So let's get square, and please accept
I believe.
my silver sixpence.
Oh,
And lest you think that interest should on this sum accrue, here's another sixpence.
Thank you. Can we think of any more good reasons for more
Visitors must be encouraged, was the committee view, so ask them more politely, they demanded of Aunt June. The atmosphere got quite exciting as the months went by, culminating in a casting vote after a famous tie. The master's vote was taken and resulted in a tie twixt Olive and Jack Phillips. Chairman Harold said, "Oh my."
It's quite impossible for me to have the final say. But obviously, I think I have to put it Olive's way.
Despite some votes against, the new on-set was Robin C. Votes taken for assistant master numbered 53.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am disgusted. 53 votes have been cast, and there are only 47.
Now, Olive did her 3 years, and then Keith Young came along to take the chair for 12 months. And then to Sussex he moved on. But before that,
Yes, I'm the master now. Although you wouldn't think so. Now, the next item on the agenda is the Treasurer's report. Does anybody have any comment on it before I ask somebody to propose its adoption?
Mr. Master, I've been looking at the annual report and I noticed that there is an item in the accounts of a £1 donation to St Peter's Nottingham. I noticed that the association rang a peal at St Peter's Nottingham. Is it not more common for the band to pay the peal for it out of their own pocket rather than out of association
No note on that. Put it to the funds.
Peace in our time.
Thank you all. That was just a little bit of what we forgot.